up, everybody? Keith, aka Gator Guy 231. It is Sunday, August 9th. We have a 7-game NBA slate to go into. It means a lot of showdowns, just a ton of action, and a ton of news because we are very close to the end. Not every team is playing for anything at this point. Maybe small seeding, or some of the teams have already clinched. So it's really important for us to stay on top of news because we will continue to see guys rest or have maintenance days, things like that. Just two quick notes. Please, bottom right of the screen, if you have not already, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. It really helps all the free content we're doing. And if you're interested in more premium content from FSI, hit the article details and you can get to the subscription page. All right, let's jump into 14 games. I still want to try to shoot for this 20-minute mark. It'll be tough, but let's see what we can do. All right, going to start out with Washington and OKC. Big news here is that Steven Adams is out, so we are going to get Nerlens Noel mega chalk. He is only 3,900. He did end up getting to play 27 minutes versus Memphis. Did struggle versus the larger than life Jonas Valanciunas. But Thomas Bryant has been awesome, but is a lot softer just matchup overall. I think Nerlens Noel at 3,900 in cash is somebody you cannot get around. We've seen him routinely be a point per minute guy throughout the season. So if you put yourself in that 25 to 28 range, 4K, that's 7X, and that's not something we want to pass on. So Noel is going to be somebody you want to build around. Now, SGA, and again, I'm starting on the Oklahoma City side. They're a 10-point favorite. So, we do want to consider, I don't like to use the word blowout, but we do want to consider game flow here. Chris Paul, I haven't been playing at all. He's been very, very good. I don't think I'm going to just all of a sudden start here, although the pace is good. Here's the thing, 8,300, we're really struggling in the bubble to get much over 40. Only one game over 40, just a balanced team, so I don't think I'll be in there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I've fallen for the chalk 2 straight times. Said I didn't want to both times in the videos. I'm not going to do it today. That does mean that, say, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to do 50. It's just how DFS goes. But 7,200, I think is fine. Because of the pace too, I'm going to pass. I think there's better spots. But, the sharp people are going to get back on him. Gallinari, the minutes just still aren't there. 19 minutes versus Memphis. I've been mentioning that, they definitely seem to have him on a minutes count. They haven't announced it. But even that Denver game, that was overtime. He didn't play. So I'll pass at 5,900. Just Oklahoma City, other than Noel, I think it's just a large pass for me. If you want to just go like low owned, like super value, which, look, there's going to be a ton of chalk on Brooklyn value. So if you want to like go shoot at Dort, who is 3,800 after a phenomenal game, 2060K versus Memphis, or you could go Basley, or you could go Diallo. If you want to go like one of those guys over the Brooklyn chalk, that will definitely be like a 1 to 2%er. On the Washington side of the ball, I think there's 2 big targets. Thomas Bryant, who outside of TJ Warren, you could arguably say that Thomas Bryant has been the bubble breakout. 42, 47, 43, 59, the last 4 in the bubble. Noel, while he's a good shot blocker, he still is not like a great defender. Like, you can still take advantage of him, especially just the bulk of Bryant versus Noel. So I think 7,400 is a really, really intriguing GPP route. I don't think it'll be very much owned in cash, but a GPP route that, has big upside. The other play that will be incredibly chalk in cash is Troy Brown Jr. It's been nothing short of sensational in the bubble as well. He is consistently threatening triple doubles. I would not be surprised for the end of the week's out if Troy Brown Jr. does get that triple double. You also just love the amount of shots he's taken. So in the last 4, we have 17, 11, 16, 16. On top of the rebounding, 10, 7, 8, and 10. Scoring and assists like under 6K. I don't know what else we want. So definitely going to be on Troy Brown. Ish Smith is coming off of a ceiling game versus his old team. I think he's fine. I think the matchup versus Chris Paul is significantly harder. So I don't know. If Napier misses, it's showing that Napier is probable. So no, I don't think he'll miss. This is too good of an opportunity for a guy like him. But I'll suffice it to say Ish Smith is in play. All right, going to jump over to Memphis Toronto. First off, on the Toronto side of the ball, Toronto minus 6.5, 220 total. So I just have been avoiding Toronto, and it's been fine. I just don't like where their prices are at. I think Siakam is officially now in play at 8,100. He's just been not good in the bubble. He's coming off of 15 DK versus Boston, 23 versus Orlando, 37, 39. We just need ceiling, and with just as healthy as they are, as easy as it is to spread it around. You have Van Vliet, you have Lowry, you have Siakam, you got Norm Powell, you've got OG Anunoby, you have, even Marcus Gasol a little bit. It's just hard to feed everybody. So I just think at the top end, I'm just going to pass on these guys. The one guy I'll play, I played Mike Conley versus Memphis for some little bit of revenge narrative. I think Marcus Gasol makes a lot of sense. He's only going to be playing the mid-20s in minutes, but, 2 straight games around 6X for the price works just fine. I think that's Toronto for me, just a large pass. For the Memphis side of the ball, Ja Morant, 8,600 is always in play, but I think at that price is GPP. Valanciunas does have some revenge versus Toronto, but I don't play centers versus Marcus Gasol. I just think it's a recipe for disasters, so I'll pass there. If you really want to go kind of maybe just a breakout potential that people aren't going to be on after he's burned them is Brandon Clark, especially if they play him off the bench. He can stagger away from Siakam a little bit. Maybe he could dominate from there. All right, let's jump over to San Antonio, New Orleans, which has one of the highest totals really of the bubble. It's a 239. New Orleans is -3. Zion has a big out by his name, but he should be playing. With Zion in, it does take a lot of the juice off of any New Orleans for me. Holiday's all up to 41, Ingram at 85, Zion 78, Ball 71. Those prices are really tough for a team that spreads the wealth around. So as much as that total once intrigues me, I don't see options that I'm going to do. Derek Favors is one that I just kind of wanted to think about. We shouted him in Discord last game when Zion was out. He did drop 31 DK for 5,200, playing 29 minutes. I think with Zion back in, I do worry that we get back into these mid to low 20s. I just don't necessarily know if there's enough ceiling at 5,200. Spurs side of the ball, the play I am super pumped about that I've played a ton this bubble and has been very, very profitable for me is Derek White. In the bubble, he has 3 of 5 games over 40 and 1 over 35, yet he's only 6,100 and a pace up. The one thing I will say is I do respect the defense of Lonzo Ball and Drew Holiday. That said, what Derek White is doing is so much more than just scoring. Giving us rebounds, giving us assists, giving us plenty of defensive peripherals, and just the minutes are just consistently up there. He's been in the mid-30s the whole time. So I really like Derek White as kind of a building block in cash at 6,100. I don't know how popular he'll be because people just don't seem to want to click his name. But, he's a great way to get exposure to this game at a reasonable price. DeMar DeRozan, I'm sure will be plenty popular at 8K. I'm fine with it. Just DeMar DeRozan never, excites me. DeJounte Murray, 6K. Rudy Gay, I just think that's worth noting, has been pretty sensational in the bubble. Last 2, 33 and 42. He had 29 the game before. The one thing to note is he's not getting over 30 minutes, and he's finally priced up 5,700. I do think upside's priced out of him. But again, if you want to a lower owned play, I guess that works. I don't think the price is worthwhile. Just make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Keldon Johnson might be worth just noting. He's continuing to see minutes. Pop mentioned how he's surprised how good he's shooting the ball. But 4K, low owned, big spot. Maybe if he's hot, we know that Pop never minds giving a guy a run if they're going. So I think that covers that game. Let's move over to Orlando and Boston. This is going to be really quick after I get some coffee. There's only 2 total plays on here that I'm interested in. Nick Vucevic could really take advantage of the Boston interior. Just somebody – look, I'm a Magic fan, so Anybody that knows me will tell you, even though I'm a Magic fan, I stay away from my Magic for the most part, except for when I see a matchup that I know that a player can exploit. And Nick Vucevic could be a very, very big part of the game. Liked him a lot versus Philly. Didn't let me down with 44 DK. I think that there has a good chance to be in that 45 to 50 range. Again, issue when he's at 8,200, especially when we're going to have the guys like Harden that we're going to be wanting to lock in. You really want above 50, like for 8K, because it's more of like you're using that salary and that roster spot. So you really need to get a huge game out of him. I do worry, just how this game could flow. Like Boston and Orlando, neither one of them want to be sprinting up and down the court. So you could have one of the slower games. It is a 6.5 total, 221. So Vegas doesn't agree with me on the pace, but that just does worry me. So on the Magic side of things, it's Vooch or no one else for me. On the Boston side of things, the announcement came out last night that Kimball Walker would be playing closer to 30 minutes. So 6,100, I think he's very in play. Boston to me is just very much like Toronto, though. It's just it could always be somebody different having the big game. And if you get it wrong and you have a guy that goes for like 4X at 7K, like you are effed. Like the NBA DFS community is far too sharp to allow you to get away with spending 7K for like sub 30 points. So just if you take Jason Tatum and he doesn't do well, or Jaylen Brown or Gordon Hayward, or even Kimball Walker or Marcus Smart, all these guys that could step up and they bust, like you may have just missed because of that decision. So I think I will largely just stay away from this game. Philly versus Portland. Now this is a game that could be very sneaky in my opinion because the pricing is not very good where people are going to land on them, but we have seen Portland's pace is just insane. I'm surprised, and maybe I wrote it wrong, but I have down that Portland is -3.5 favorite, but 228 total. I think Joel Embiid is obviously very in play. We have no Ben Simmons, so a lot of the offense is going to be routed through Joel Embiid. 10-6 is tough tag with wanting to lock in Harden, which that's one game away, so we're getting there. But again, if you want to kind of get off that chalk and go contrarian, Joel Embiid always has 80 DK in, his range of outcomes. Dame Lillard, I think it's worth noting this is a back-to-back for Portland, but he did struggle versus the Clippers, 10 of 23. The usage is always there. I do think that, like, they'll probably put Josh Richardson on him to annoy and just kind of, like, be a pest for Dame. Dame obviously is kind of matchup-proof, but you can get defenders that can at least try to slow him down. Nurkic has been phenomenal in the bubble. Now every single game over 40. The price is caught up though. Again, I've been talking a lot. You guys probably at the end of this are gonna be like, who does he like? I've mentioned a few, and then I'm gonna have a few more coming up here that I do like a lot. While I like Nurkic to play, I think he's finally safe. Just for GPPs at 9K, you've got to get 50. Just have to get 50. So, 44, 45, in that 40 to 50 range, you're not going to be dead with Nurkic. But for you to really have a GPP spot, let's be honest, that's what we're all shooting for when we're playing GPPs. If you are just shooting for a min cash, you're playing GPPs wrong. You should be shooting for the top. I think you need more upside. Tobias Harris will not be owned, and I do think it's interesting. Considering the matchups he can exploit. So either Zach Collins or he'll get Carmelo Anthony. Neither one of them can defend Tobias Harris. So I hate his price passionately on DK. I think he's a better deal over on FanDuel. But he's going to see 20 shots. He is the biggest uptick with no Simmons. He's coming off of 49 versus the Magic. Maybe this is somebody that, if you could get like a 50 burger or 60 points out of, that could be like a GPP winning type of play. Horford was another guy that he got the starter for Simmons, played 30 minutes, 37 DK, 6,500. I think he's fine. Again, he's going to be starting alongside of Embiid, so he's going to get either Collins or Melo. I think he'll get Collins, and I think Melo will go on Tobias Harris. So he's fine. I don't really want to deal with this whole Shake Milton, Josh Richardson thing. Richardson's been bad in the bubble, so I think I'll just pass. Just want to maybe just talk about Alex Burks, who saw a huge increase versus the Magic. I think that this is the type of play, you know, maybe off of some of the Brooklyn value chalk too, that has big upside. We know when Burks is in, Burks loves to shoot, loves to get usage. 28 minutes versus the Magic, 31 DK, like that play a lot. Portland side of the ball, just I want to like Portland more. It's just tough. I think Melo, funny enough, might be my top play. He's only 5,400. Melo's always going to get his. Like, Melo does not stand out in the court and defer to Dame and CJ and Nurkic. Like, Melo is going to get his. So 30 coming off of 31 DK versus Philly, 5,400. You know, you have the upside there with a guy like Carmelo Anthony, so I like that play. Gary Trent, been playing awesome for them. Huge minutes. My big issue, and Zach pointed this out, which I think was spot on, is he is very reliant on his three-point shot. You notice 10, 10, 9, 11. So he's hoisting threes. If he does not hit them, you are going to struggle. He's kind of like the reason you don't play a lot of JJ Redick when he's in that like 5 to 5,500 range, just really reliant on that shot. So Gary Trent Jr. is fine. I would say more GPP now that he's priced up at 5K. All right, let's jump over to Houston and Sacramento. And I've mentioned James Harden's name like, I don't know, 5 times, 6 times. And you know why? No Russ Westbrook. So what do? We lock in James Harden. He only took 19 shots versus the Lakers, but got to the line 12 times. Had an enormous game, 39, 8, and 12, 74 DK. Only saw his price shoot 11-3. Look, if he was like 12-5, I would still be locking him in. So I feel like actually we're getting a discount at 11-3. So just lock and load James Harden. Nothing more I need to say there. On the other side of the ball, I really like going back to Darren Fox in this matchup. Houston defensively is a mess. Harden just is going to be so taxed offensively that, you know, he doesn't do a lot of work on the defensive end of the ball. I think they might try to put like McLemore on Fox, which that's a disaster. So De'Aaron Fox is coming off of a disappointing game versus Brooklyn. Only took 15 shots, but he was my cover article or my cover boy for that slate because before that, 21 shots versus versus the Pelicans for 58 DK, 27 shots versus Dallas for 50 DK, 33 shots for San Antonio for 54. So he's been having huge games. I love 7,800. Darren Fox. I checked a couple optos this morning, and he is not popping. So I am hopeful that people are not going to be on him because he is going to be somebody I want to lock into a lot of lineups. Bojan Bogdanovic, or is it Bogdan? I never know which one. Anyhow, it's been awesome. I've been playing a lot of him myself. Just love that he's looking for his shot as well. Like, he and Fox have come in super aggressive. So he has 39 shots the last 2 games. And also, like, he can actually play make and rebound the ball too. So 5,300, I love that. I just love this game. Houston's -5, so 231 total. I think there's a lot of pieces that you can get from here. So those are the 3 that probably jump out right away. I think we do want to watch who Sacramento starts at center. Alex Len is popping in models, and I kind of think there's a chance that Alex Len might not start, and they might kind of go smaller with Bjelica at the 5, play like Barnes at the 4, Bogdanovic. They had been starting Corey Joseph. I think they do prefer to play Healed off the bench, but maybe they try to figure out some sort of cross match on Harden and then Fox. So they can start small and kind of match Houston's small ball with PJ Tucker at the 5. So I don't necessarily think I'm like locking Alex Len in by any means right now. I just worry that could be bad chalk if he doesn't get enough minutes. He saw 16 minutes versus Brooklyn, 22 DK, New Orleans, 15 minutes, 16 DK. Alex Len's always been a great DFS producer. Just that's like a chalk that I think in GPPs especially, I might fade for the reasons I stated. Ben McLemore, this is a revenge game versus McLemore versus a team that drafted him high and just never worked out. So he's kind of like Gary Trent, but a lot cheaper, right? We're getting a $1,200 discount where it's all going to be about his 3-point shot falling. But he started for Westbrook, 30 minutes, scored 33 DK. So I think that is a fine value as well. Jeff Green's another one I really have to notice. And like now you're seeing why all these guys earlier I wasn't nearly as high on, because these late games and these values are so much better. Jeff Green, 4K, 27, 28 minutes last 2, 30 and 33 DK. We always know that Jeff Green can put up fantasy points. And he could actually just be a nightmare for Lynn off the bench, just by his ability to stretch the floor and just a lot more athletic. So I like going there. Barnes 47, Heald's 48, Bejalica 49. All these prices are really nice. Even Covington 6,400. Well, I think that's a little bit high, is fine. So yeah, lot to like about this game. Final game of the night. Be super careful. Brooklyn and LAC and the Clippers. Clippers are minus 12. Brooklyn is set to rest everybody again. LeVert, Allen, and who's the other guy? Joe Harris are all doubtful. Kawhi sat yesterday, so I expect that Kawhi will be back today. Maybe Paul George rests. Here's the deal, and what I'm going to tell you is, I do not want to go crazy on the Clippers on back-to-back. If I play any Clippers, it would probably be Zubac, who has been awesome in the bubble, who I just completely have missed on. Shout out to Zach and our tennis coach, Jay Scott, for both being on him plenty. I have just missed the Zubac resurgence, so that is on me. But 30, 44, 34, 27, the last 4 in the bubble. And he would get a super, super, super soft matchup versus a Curex or Musa or whoever the hell they're going to start over Jared Allen. So Zubac, 5,400, probably my favorite Clipper. I think Marcus Morris is another guy you could go to. He was chalked yesterday. I have no problem going back to him today. 3 straight games of 28 for 4,700 is just fine. I think there's other ones I prefer, but it is fine. Yeah, I just be careful of the Clippers. I think if I'm going to do anything in this game, it's going to be some of these cheap Brooklyn pieces. Let me just talk about the few that you should maybe look at. Tyjo and Temple, while they might be okay, I will just pass on. I am much willing. Chioza, 4,600. Again, maybe just a little too much. Let's look down at this. Curex range, 4K. TLC, 3,900. If you really want to be contrarian, you can go for Jeremiah Martin, who had 29 and 20 when he was getting some run. Like, these are the type of places. And then where's Musa? I think Musa's 3K. Look at that last player on when you scroll down. Musa, 19 and 18. So those, and Justin Anderson, that's the other guy I want to mention. So those are the type of places to go from Brooklyn, not the top end guys when you're doing the value. All right, that's 14 teams. Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope that this helps. Good luck today. Early start at 12:30, so get after it. See you.